This show is being sponsored by BetterHelp. Sometimes in life, we're faced with tough choices, and the path forward isn't always clear. Listen, when we started the War Report, we had a tough decision about when we were going to commit full time to doing this, and that meant leaving careers that we had built up. And whether you're dealing with decisions that are right around the corner, relationships, or anything else, therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life. You can move forward with confidence and excitement. Trusting yourself to make decisions that align with your values is like anything. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. We all need people to help us talk through tough choices that we have in life, whether that's friends or family. But if you don't feel like you have someone around you to do that, or even if you do and you want to get a different, fresh perspective, and you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Head over to betterhelp.com/rapport today to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rapport. Again, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's up, and War Eagle War Report family? You got Ike Jones. We are here. It's time to get into this midweek report. I know we're a day later than we normally are, but don't worry. We're talking a little defense today. We want to know who you guys feel are going to be standouts for the defense. We don't want it to belabor the point, man. Let's get straight to it. It's time for the midweek report, baby. Happy Thursday to everybody. The Midweek Rapport brought to you by show sponsor auburnsports.com. Make sure you head over there for all of your inside information on everything dealing with Auburn Sports. Always a great partnership that we have going on with the folks over there at auburnsports.com. Your boy Ike Jones, joined by Mike G. Dylan from over at the College Loop is hopping in with us. Might have somebody else from the network in. Yeah. Make sure that you guys check in with them. But hey, if you are in here and you're not doing the necessary, I don't know why you don't know already what the process should be. It should be log into the stream, share the stream. Like it should just be like, okay, I'm in here now. Let me share it and tell other people to come in here. Share the video at the War Report, hashtag get your weight up. Then your next step is to like the video even before it starts, because you know the content is going to be amazing. So go ahead and hit that thumbs up. And if you haven't done this already, subscribe to the channel. I know there are more of you that are out there that have not subscribed to this channel. I'm positive of it. So let's go ahead and make that happen right there. As always, we appreciate the people who continue to do all of the things that I just said, plus signing up for memberships to the War Report. Go ahead and make that commitment. We have so many things coming for you guys. I don't know how many times I have to say we're not done doing things. As in the infamous words of Trevon Reed, we ain't done yet. So y'all make sure that y'all continue to support us in that way. If you want to be awesome like Auburn Dad and gift some memberships, he's done that already from the live chat. So if you are a member, you want to give some memberships to somebody, you can go ahead and do that and make sure that the War Report has a couple of extra people for at least a month, and then after that, it's on you. We're going to do the giveaway once again tonight. Hashtag get your weight up in the live chat, sponsored by War Eagle Oil. We're giving away another one of these War Report t-shirts. So make sure you guys are here when we do that giveaway. and we surely appreciate it. Anyway, enough of me rambling about announcements. More announcements to come, but let's get straight into the convo. How's everybody feeling tonight?
Pretty good. Hearing some good things coming out of camp.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I've heard nothing but positive things about this camp as well. No matter what position it is, I don't think I've really heard anybody in the negative side of things. But I guess you say I'm feeling a little loopy about fall camp.
I see what you did right there. Go ahead and flash the shirt for him one more time, Billy. Yeah, feeling loopy. The feeling loopy t-shirts are available on the warreport.com. So y'all go ahead and make sure that you support the guys at the college loop in that way. I see what you did right there.
I'm a fan of shameless plugs.
I am here for the shameless plugs, man. Shout out to Chris Causey for the gifted memberships. We appreciate that from you right there, sir. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about defense. We did the offensive version of this where we picked guys who we thought would be stat leaders for Auburn this year. We're going to get into the defensive side. Before we get specifically into picking those things, though, defense is going to be a concern for this team, right? I think people are starting to warm up to the idea that the offense may be okay, right? Hearing great things. But hold on, before we get into defense, I would be remiss because he hasn't had the opportunity on our show if I didn't at least give Mike G like a minute, like 60 seconds to take a victory lap on all of the great things people have been saying about Jay Fair. Mike G, go ahead and tell the people why they should have just listened to you from the beginning.
Y'all, listen. Jay's going to be good. I said he was going to be good last year. A lot of people threw Malcolm Johnson in my face. I still feel like Malcolm Johnson is a great player. He's, unfortunately been struggling with injuries.
Yeah. The injuries are the reason Malcolm Johnson hasn't had more playing time, not talent.
Did see him running with the second team, and they told us that he is still the fastest guy on the team.
Yes.
Well, Jay Fair argues that, but he's fast.
Yeah.
So this team has talent, and sometimes it's hard for people. It's really hard to project talent. But I felt like Jay Fair had a lot of the intangibles that a coach would look for: hardworking, straight A student, does all the things that you ask him to do, knocks out all his weight room goals, focused, learning how to be a leader. I don't know if you could ask for a better player. I just don't. Right, he's got all the ability, and we saw flashes of that last season. So, yes, Jay Fair, he's still got to go out and do it. And I hope that he ignores all this hype. Even though I'm hyping him, I hope don't listen to me, Jay. Just go out and play.
Yeah.
And continue. You didn't get here by listening to people talk about how good you were.
Yeah.
You got here by working hard and doing the things that you need to do. I think that he is mature enough to understand that. So I'm looking forward to it, seeing him play. It's exciting to see that they are going to play the best player, and we're not defaulting to seniority right off the bat.
Yeah.
I'll say that again, not defaulting to seniority and playing the best guy. I love to see that. You have to like that from this staff. And you should feel really good about all the experienced guys that he beat out. Got to be dynamic, right? Either that or people are like, oh, they're not that good. But I choose positive side of that. I think they are that good. Auburn's got a ton of talent, and Jay Fair's a part of that. It's going to be fun to watch him in the fall.
Yeah, listen, I too have been on the Jay Fair train for a while now. When we talked to him on building rapport before he took a single potential snap with Auburn, I was like, okay, this young man, he's got his head in the right place. I watched his film and I was like, I think he's going to be good, man. I think he's going to be good. He just needs an opportunity. I think people got caught up in, what his star rating was and forgot that this kid was, if you could be excited about any other guy from Texas that puts up big numbers, why not Jay Fair? I don't know.
The whole running back room were 3 stars, all of them. Jarquez Hunter, 3-star. And you might have gotten a composite 4-star ratings sprinkled in there, but ultimately, stars don't tell the whole story.
I think Cobb's a 4-star.
I'm talking. Yeah. Well, I'm talking prior to him. I'm saying the guys who will start and play this year. 3 stars. Jarquez Hunter, Damari Alston, Brian Bati.
Right? Bati.
3 stars. man. So it's yeah, to me, it's just interesting, and they might be one of the best rooms in the SEC. So Jay Fair, again, great talent, fast kid out of Texas. If they know how to use him, and if they have the quarterback and get him the ball in stride, watch out. I think he's going to be dangerous.
Yeah, I agree with that. Dylan, before we get into our conversation on defense, man, I'm just going to give, since I gave Mike time to gush, I'm just going to give you the floor. Whatever you want to talk about, man. I don't care if it's how your week went, man. What do you want to say about things, man? Just go for it, bro.
Dang, I could choose a time just to talk about a weird position going on.
I was about to say, let's talk about long snapper, man, because those are your guys. What are you hearing about the long snapper room, if you're hearing anything?
I mean, like I said earlier, nothing but good things coming from this team in general. But Jacob Quattlebaum, I'm still a little upset that he was not listed on any of the first teams All SECs from any of the lists I've been seeing. Because I think Quattlebaum.
I actually did have him on my list when I voted at SEC Media Day. So
I'm glad we got at least one good vote going in. Because Jacob Quattlebaum is going to be like a Josh Harris level this year, I think, and I think he's going to find himself on an NFL team after this season if he wants to go to the NFL. All for progressing careers out here, just on whatever he wants to do with his life. But yeah, Jacob Quattlebaum is one of my favorite players, and it's one of my favorite names to say as well. I definitely
Quattlebaum is a pretty nice name. It does look a little weird on the back of a jersey, not gonna lie, because of how many letters it is in the name. But it's all good, man. It's all good as long as he's doing his due. So long snapper is one of those positions that most people don't pay attention until they do something wrong. So hopefully we'll continue to have reasons for nobody to say anything about it, because you don't really want to be talking about the long snapper.
And I mean, you got two good ones coming in with Keaton McNutt and I hate the other name is blanking on me right now. And there we go. J.R. Buckner. There we go. J.R. Buckner and Keaton McNutt, top 25, both of them top 25 long snappers per Cole's kicking. So real excited to watch long snapper keep progressing their long history of long snappers in the NFL.
Indeed. So listen, man, I like the fact that Dylan is fired up about the battery there with the long snapper. Do you have love for the holder too, Dylan? Are you like really?
So last year, one of my not last year, throughout my college career, so in 2022, 2021, 2022, one of my good buddies, Jackson McFadden, was actually the holder for the Auburn Tigers. He started off as a wide receiver, and then they were like, maybe you can try holder. And I did a little first team All SEC team myself, and I had to show a little love to J Mac. So I put him as like the main person on the graphic for my first team special teams, because J Mac is one of my favorite stories in Auburn football.
Okay, so I listen. I haven't heard who's going to be. Everybody who's watching the live stream right now, or they're rewatching, they're like, are they really about to sit here for the first 12 minutes and talk about Jay Fair and long snappers? Listen, it is what it is, man. They're part of the team. Gotta love all of our guys. But I haven't heard who's going to be doing the duties this year for holder. But I am looking forward to seeing what's going on with that. Anyway, probably Oscar Chapman, probably the battery again. But anyway, let's get into the meat of the conversation. And let's talk about the defense. Ron Roberts, I don't have the clips queued up here, but Ron Roberts was talking about the defense. Heard a lot of buzz from players about what's going on with this defense. What are you all hearing? I know, Dylan, you said mostly what you're hearing is about offense, but have you heard any good things about anybody on the defense? Anybody you're super excited about that you've been hearing buzz about?
Hey, I always make fun of the school all the time, because the North Texas guys I've been hearing a lot about, or Larry Nixon for the very least. The Auburn feeder school that is the North Texas Mean Green. I've heard a lot of people have been really excited about what Larry Nixon can bring to this team, and I mean, I always make fun of it. The linebacker position is probably one of my biggest question marks for this team, just because it's just always Austin Keys and someone else. Right. But I think whenever you look at the two, I think Austin Keys kind of plays off of Larry Nixon the best. And Larry Nixon's a guy I think can plug into a lot of holes. And in a very run-heavy side of the SEC, with Arkansas and Texas A&M always has a loaded backfield. Bama always has a loaded backfield. I think Larry Nixon fits in very well in what could potentially be a five-man front on the defensive line with Larry Nixon there.
Okay. Mike G, how about yourself? Any defensive guys that you're hearing good things about during fall camp?
Yeah, obviously Elijah McAllister's name has been mentioned as a leader. So he'll be kind of like a symbolic piece to this team, as well as a player who sees the field a lot. But still hearing a ton of good things about Keldrick Falk and the work that he's doing right now. Kanan Lee is having a good camp, and Zacchaeus Walker. So, I would keep an eye out on all these guys. It's quiet. It's quieter on defense. It is when you talk about who's doing well there. And I think in some ways it's kind of a little harder to gauge how those guys on defense are doing in camp. But from what I hear, Auburn is very assignment sound on defense. Guys know what to do. They know where they're supposed to be, right? And they're absorbing this system at a high level. So Keldrick Falk, I'm really excited to see. I'm really excited to see Keldrick Falk. It appears that Hugh Freeze's staff has taken up, again, we talked about it when we were mentioning Jay Fair, the play the best guy approach to this.
Right.
In year one, trying to get the best people out there. So I think it says a lot for Keldrick that he's rocketing up the ranks a little bit. His teammates are talking about him, the same way Jay's teammates were talking about him. They really feel like this kid is going to be good, and understanding what you have to do is the first part. So if you don't know where to be and you don't know what you're doing, it's hard, even with all the talent, it's really hard to put you on the field and trust that you're going to be where you're supposed to be. So Keldrick Falk, taking things in, man, learning at a high level. I love it. I love what I'm hearing too. I'm also excited to see Zacchaeus Walker as well too.
He's a guy, another guy that the injury has really been his biggest issue that's kept him off of the field. But yeah, hopefully see some things. Anyway, didn't mean to cut you off. Continue.
Yeah, so he had some catching up to do, with the injury, and I love it. I love what I'm hearing on defense. They have to get a little better, I think, in the run game and stopping the run. But if they can get pressure, generating pressure on the quarterback is going to be a huge thing for this defense this fall. Then Auburn has a chance to be really, really good on that side. So, that's what I'm hearing right now. It's a long way to go in camp. Obviously, you hope guys stay healthy through the end. But they're developing depth right now, and that's going to be a really important piece for Ron Roberts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, besides the guys that you've already mentioned, another guy, and you talked about generating pressure, Jalen McLeod is turning some heads, and his ability to come off of that edge and really be a pressure guy for this defense. I'm looking forward to seeing how he translates the hype that he garnered in the transfer portal via what he did in that Texas A&M game into a consistent thing against SEC defenses. I think that he's got the skills to be able to do it. If you guys didn't already see and you're a member or you're a patron, you can watch it on demand. But I did a watch the film session on him, and I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be out there causing havoc for the defensive front when he's out there in the game. But I'm actually also hearing some good things about Steven Sings, the young man who transferred in from Liberty. Mike's mentioned it a couple of times, how Liberty's defensive line was one that led the nation in tackles for loss and generating pressure.
Yeah, I think they were like third in sacks or something like that in the whole country.
You got a guy who was one of the leaders along that defensive front now playing the jack position here at Auburn. He's another talented guy. I don't have a lot of tape on him. I'm going to try to see if I can go and find some. But I am hearing some good things about him, particularly in his ability to be able to hold steady in the run game, right? So he's might not be the sudden, quick pass rush guy that McLeod is, but I am hearing some good things about Steven Sings in that regard. So when you put those three guys together, you already mentioned, Elijah McAllister, Steven Sings, and then you add McLeod to that mix, I think we have a mix that will allow us to be multiple at the jack position and be able to do some sub-package things that I think are going to be really good. Other guys along the defensive front that I'm hearing about, you already mentioned young Keldrick Falk, who is going to be a good defensive end for us. I think Marcus Harris is just a stalwart up there that's going to continue to do good things. And then I haven't heard as much about Walker, but I mean, he is a guy that I'm hoping flashes. Aniche Sledge is another guy that always gets kind of under the radar. I think I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do. And then I have heard some really good things about the young guy who just got there in Darren Reed up front and being disruptive in the middle. Don't know what that's going to translate to as far as his position in the depth chart, but I do think that he is a talented young man up there in the front. Getting to that second level in the linebacker room, a room that you've mentioned already, Larry Nixon was one of the guys that you already talked about. But the guy who I've kind of been on for a minute here in that room has been Eugene Asante. I think Eugene Asante is I think he's gonna make some people feel the pressure this year. As far as he's a guy when I talk to players about him, he's just kind of always doing the right things. He's showing up on time. He's a good locker room guy. He's a good energy guy on the field, and he can run, and he understands where he's supposed to be assignment wise. I am looking forward to seeing how he progresses in this defense this year. And Ron Roberts has said good things about him. Ron Roberts is a big linebacker guy. I know he's the defensive coordinator, but he's big on, he cut his teeth as a linebacker coach. So if Ron Roberts likes him, and if why is his name escaping me right now? Aldridge likes him, then I have no choice but to believe their assessment plus what I've been hearing from his teammates about him. And then you get to that last level, and you already mentioned the guy, K.N. Lee. Man, I can't find a person who thinks that K.N. Lee is going to redshirt. Can't find one. Everybody says this kid will be playing this season a lot. So he just has a tremendous work ethic, and he goes about everything the right way. Again, this is accounts from his teammates that I'm talking about. People are just saying the kid K.N. Lee is special, man. He's going out there. He's working hard. He's going to get his opportunities to come play. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what he is going to be able to do out there in that defensive backfield alongside a guy like, DJ James, who is a consensus, at least amongst people who know what they're talking about, all SEC guy. I think it's criminal that he was third team all SEC. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. Yeah. The snub there doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
But I think that this defense has some players, and they have a chance to be really good. If Auburn can win time of possession and not hang these guys out to dry a whole lot this season, then I think their numbers, by the numbers, they'll be a really good defense. They have the talent,
right?
If they can stay relatively healthy and with this schedule, this very, very favorable schedule, and Hugh Freeze's first year, it's going to be interesting to watch and see what they do. In the spring game, I know it's been a long time since spring, but I saw some things definitely that they needed to work on, but it's tough because we didn't get to see the offense air the ball out at all because of the weather. We didn't get to gauge a lot from that spring game. So Auburn has their first scrimmage coming on Saturday, and it's going to be big for them. It's going to be really big for them.
Is it this week or next week that they're having Fan Day down there?
It's this Saturday.
Okay, so first scrimmage is this Saturday, Fan Day this Saturday. So a lot of things happening down there on the plains. A lot of eyes going to be looking at what's happening. I caution people. I don't know why I do this. I don't know why I do it. I'm going to do it. I don't know why I do it. I'm going to caution people from taking too big of a leap from what they see in a scrimmage that they're obviously not going to be showing their hand too much in, and taking that and trying to extrapolate what they think is going to happen with this football team as far as depth chart and playing time and all that sort of thing. But it's going to happen because that's just what people do. I get it, but I am looking forward to seeing them. Hopefully the weather holds off and they're actually be able to do some things this time and show some guys throwing some passes and all that sort of thing to assuage maybe some of the thought processes that we can't throw the ball. But I know I'm going to hear and see a bunch of overreactions on social media and in, discords and all that. It's going to happen, but I'm cautioning people against it. But again, I just wasted however long I was just talking saying that because everybody's going to skip right over me saying that and do it anyway. But it is what it is.
Oh, Auburn's going 15-0. It's already been decided. Right?
I mean, or they look really bad
Oda?
during the scrimmage.
Oda, are you here?
Yeah. Nah, that's Imani that's going to say that.
Nobody.
Or they're going to look bad in the scrimmage and everybody's going to be, moaning about how terrible that, we're going to be. And, it's going to be a bunch of Heather Dinich reactions where it's like, have some patience with this offensive line, guys. Have some patience with our defense. Like, it's going to be that sort of thing, right? So
I'm hearing great things about the O-line, though, man.
Yeah. But
The things coming out
it's
of
hard to
camp.
gauge, right? Like, is the O line doing so well, or is our defensive line performing so poorly? Like, I don't know the answer to that.
So the same thing with
Yeah.
the defensive backs too. I mean,
Yeah.
are we actually good at quarterback, or is our DB room just locked down? I mean, you just never know, and that's just
Right.
practices against yourself too.
Yeah, I think when you have a talented team on both sides of the ball, you see your fair shares of wins and losses on both sides.
Right.
Right. Sometimes the defense, I mean, ultimately, the old adage for coaches was if your defense gets torched in the spring, that's usually not a good thing.
Right. Which that's why the I think warranted reaction about how poorly we played in the 8-day game and stopping the run is there, right? Like, it's like, okay, well, the defense shouldn't be getting beat this badly in the run game.
Yeah. I mean, it was raining. You knew they were going to run the ball. Like, they didn't throw a ton of passes.
Right.
And
Make them throw it in the rain. I don't care. It's like put 12 guys in the box for, get a penalty on every play. I don't care. Stop the daggone run, man.
Yeah. So all signs to me point toward it's starting to even out a little bit. You're seeing the defense make some great plays. You are seeing the offense also starting to make some great plays. What do they say? There's no defense for a perfect pass.
Right.
There's not. So if your quarterbacks are going out there and they're putting the ball where it needs to be, then you might see the defense losing some. So yeah, I don't think there's much. There is. You can defend a perfectly called play, right? But I think it's really, really difficult to defend a perfectly executed play. So if they're executing at such a high level that even a real good defense is having trouble stopping them. How many games have we watched, guys, from like some of the better players over the last few years, like Joe Burrow? Like, how many times was it a perfectly defended play, but he put the ball the absolute only place the receiver was going to get it?
Right.
Is this guy or nobody? And if you're doing a lot of that, then I think you're going to see it more often than not that both sides are winning. And when you're the defense and you're going up against a really good offense, when you go out on Saturdays, that's the toughest competition you would have seen all week.
Right.
Was your own offense. I think that's what makes Alabama and Georgia so good. Is that in practice, they're facing the best that they're going to see.
Right.
And very few teams have the talent to give them the kind of challenge that they see in practice every week.
Right.
That's what you hope Hugh Freeze is building with this recruiting class that's got so much momentum right now. You hope in 2 to 3 years, the talent is so stacked that in practice, these guys are getting challenged every single day. Yeah, we did an old school interview with Courtney Taylor, and he talked about going up against Carlos Rogers, who's a Thorpe winner.
Right.
And he said it. He said, listen, I knew if I could beat Carlos, wasn't nobody going to stop me on Saturday. He's the best. So I like it. We've heard some one-off stories about receivers talking about going up DJ one-on-one. And it's been said that Coach Hugh Freeze likes to come into practice, stop the show, and be like, one-on-ones right now. Let's go.
Right.
Heads up. Let's see who wins. I love that. That is so much fun. The players' face lit up, Dylan, when they told us about this. They were like, yeah, he'll just come in and stop practice and be like, hey, one-on-ones right now. Quarterback, wide receiver, DB, let's go. Yeah, and then we asked Camden, we were like, who won? And he was like, I don't know, the ball's overthrown. But still, just a lot of fun for them to know. You know who won that route, though, regardless of where the ball was at. So I'm telling you, this is something that we used to bemoan about Gus. Was no ones versus ones because he didn't want people to get hurt. Man, the hell with that.
Yes, that's why you build depth,
best
so
on
you
best.
don't have to worry about that. Man, let's
best
go.
on best.
What were you going to say, Dylan?
I was going to say the one-on-ones. Whenever I play football, were like one of my most fun parts of like being an athlete. I was furthest thing from an athlete, but I just wore pads.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like one of the funnest, one of the most fun things about going to practice was like, all right, we're about to see. I'm at a 3A high school. Let's see best on best. Let's see who can go up and get it. And it was always fun because if you get mossed, you get clowned for it, and everyone's in there pushing around, having a fun time. And it's great for team chemistry too. And it's just something that we've just not seen from this Auburn team in 3 years. It feels like this. and it's just been dragging along these last 2 years. And now players are excited to go to practice with you Freeze just because, oh, maybe today we're about to have some fun. DJ versus Shane, or Nehemiah versus Nick Mardner, just stuff like that. It's just going to be so fun for these players, and it really gets them hyped up for this year.
Yep, looking forward to seeing, what all of this produces when it comes to the actual games. But again, the first taste for most fans outside of what we saw on A-Day, but including these new guys, is going to be the scrimmage coming up this Saturday, Fan Day as well. You guys make sure that you are in the plains for that. Let's head over to the comment section and see what you all are buzzing about here with our defense. We'll get it started off with Super Chat from Scott Chapman, who says he is excited about the next fireside. It's definitely something refreshing and original. Yes, next fireside is coming up for you guys soon, so stay tuned. We got a preview of that coming up if you haven't seen it already. But hey, man, we are going to keep the train rolling with these firesides, man. We got Auburn Dad giving us a chat here, says War Damn Evil Football is here, baby. It is definitely arrived. It's time, man. It's feeling like it's right around the corner, even though we still have a few more weeks before it actually lands. Otis Smith jumps in with the chat and says, my PC Panthers are grinding Rush C, Courtney Upshaw, Nick Gentry, the wide receiver coach, just turned down an offer from Oregon State to stay with PC. It says a lot about PC. I don't even know who PC Panthers are, but okay, that's good information. Thank you.
I was like Phoenix City, those were Red Devils, but
I thought Panama City. That was probably not the right thing either.
Yeah, help us out, Oda.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Daniel Owen jumps in and says, War Damn Eagle guys, can't wait to see the fireside chat. Somebody else buzzing about fireside. Best running back room in college football. Y'all's level of Auburn coverage is absolutely second to none. Proud of my green name.
Hey,
we are definitely happy you continue to support us with that green name, man.
BGB would agree as well. Big Game Boomer would agree.
God, he would. Yeah. He said that we're the best Auburn. I mean, you can't lie with the man. I can't argue with him.
Hey,
I argue with him a lot. I argue with him a lot. Love you, Boomer, if you're watching.
I'm with him when he's right. That's all I'll say. Anthony Rudd says, I really want to see our young DBs play. Got a talented young defensive backfield group that's out there, man. We haven't done our position breakdown of the DBs yet. We did safeties, but we haven't done the outside guys on that are DBs. That'll be coming up probably. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow for the morning drop. I don't know. We'll see. But definitely some talented guys there in that defensive backfield room. Looking forward to seeing what they contribute. Oda Smith jumps back in. Keldrick Falk. Keontae Scott, Falk, DJ James, Austin Keys, Woodyard, Nixon, Harris, etc. Yeah, you can rattle off a list of names there. And that's
players, man. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about this defense. I think they've got a ton of talent. Keontae Scott, I don't think he's getting talked about enough based on the season that he had last year. And so this will be really interesting to see how these guys, again, have absorbed this. Now, the offensive guys told us that last year's system was really complicated and it slowed them down mentally. They were thinking their way through a lot of stuff. I have not heard a ton on the defensive side, like how this system is affecting, how fast they play. But I haven't heard any complaints either. So, hopefully it's having the same effect that the new offense is having in that guys feel like they know where they need to be and that they can play fast without having to over-process too much information.
Yeah. I mean, the unfortunate thing is most of the conversations that we've been having as far as the fireside have been with offensive players, but no frets. We are working to get you guys some defensive players. So more to come on that soon. I see everybody saying that PC stands for Pell City, by the way.
City.
So okay. Pell City. Is that where Elliot? If you guys don't know, we have Elliot Huckabee who writes for our website. I want to say he is from Pell City. I'll have to ask him, or maybe I'll just text him and see if he. Anyway, B-Will's forehead jumps in as I challenge Mike G to go a whole show without mentioning Jay Fair, and if he can't, I want the War Report to pay me $5 a month.
No, because
let me just say this. Number one, that's a nonsensical thing to even ask us to do. I want Mike G to have more reasons to talk about Jay Fair every single show. So Jay Fair, go out there and give us more reasons to talk about you. positively, of course, because if he does something bad, we still got to go out there and be like, what the heck is Jay Fair doing right there?
Now, that does pose the question. If you do go a whole show without mentioning him, does he have to pay y'all $5?
Exactly. Where's my consideration?
Right.
See? Huh? Yeah. Come up with that part, and then we'll see.
Austin says football season is back, and that means the War Report every week. Austin, the War Report is here every week during football, basketball, baseball, softball, soccer, volleyball. Yeah. We're here. We ain't going nowhere. So maybe you're tuning in more often now because football is back, but we ain't going nowhere, baby. We will be here every week of every year, giving you guys something. And even if you can't get it here, you can get it somewhere on the network. Somebody's out here talking a little something about something with Auburn Sports. All right, we are going to get into a little bit of bill paying before we get too far into the next topic. But remember, we are talking a little bit today about who we feel like is going to be a standout. We're picking our players for different stat categories, statistical leaders on the defensive side today. But you guys know you are watching the Midweek Report. Let's get a little bit of a word from our sponsors. This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. When you work out, grill out, and chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at GoldensCastIron.com. And our giveaway sponsor, War Eagle Oil. For all of your motor oil and related products, head over to WarEagleOil.com. As always, thank you to the sponsors of the War Report, and thank you to the Green Name Gang out here doing their thing. Ben Bloodworth, we appreciate you contributing membership gifting. If you want to join the Green Name Gang and you haven't already, or if you are a member and you want to gift a membership, you can do those things right now. Don't delay, man. We got so many great things coming up during the season. Exclusive member benefits kicking up when the football season starts. So go ahead and get that going. If you want to give it away or if you want to join yourself, make it happen. We're giving away a t-shirt from our side. It's hashtag get your weight up in the live chat, doing that drawing here in about 30 minutes. Got to be present to win. Sponsored by War Eagle Oil. Head to wareagleoil.com for all of your motor oil and related products. If you guys did not know, ladies, I'm sorry, I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to talk about Manscaped, baby, because they are a sponsor of the War Report. Make sure you head over to manscaped.com using code REPORT. And man, it's the best in below the waist grooming. Their products are precision engineered tools for the family jewels. Manscaped's performance package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Head over to manscaped.com using code REPORT for 20% off and free worldwide shipping. The performance package has everything from the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, performance boxer brief, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies. So make sure you head over to manscaped.com and use code REPORT when you go. That lets them know that the War Report sent you. And listen, man, I broke out my Manscaped package. It's got this little like leather travel bag that you put all this stuff in. It's really nice, man. If you guys haven't seen, I put a little thing out there on Twitter when I was kind of showing the unboxing of it and all that kind of thing. I like the packaging. Like, it's dope, man. Manscaped did their thing and the products are A1. I ain't gonna get on here and lie to you, man. It was dope products, man. I can't complain about the Manscaped situation. You know what I'm talking about. All right. I think I have sufficiently embarrassed Dylan enough sitting here.
I'm just quickly learning that I have the humor of a 5-year-old. I'm reading the comments.
Hey, listen, my entire life is based on 5-year-old humor, so I don't. It is what it is, man. You fit in perfectly.
Like a showing scrotum. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you, Dylan. It was amazing. Amazing comments.
You guys make sure that you ignore John Brandon because he will be talking about nothing that we're actually discussing on the thing. He's just gonna make a bunch of jokes. So John is our resident chat comedian. So love you, John. Thank you for always providing additional entertainment to the live chat. Before we get into our conversation about what's going on or our picks for stat leaders on defense, super chat here from Perry Unlikely, who says, how is Gus recruiting better at UCF than Auburn? And he just corrected his spelling with another super chat saying, Gus, how is he doing better at UCF than he was at Auburn? I don't know that he's doing better at UCF than he was at Auburn.
Josh Pate is doing a segment tonight talking about UCF recruiting. Apparently, they've got a ton of momentum in recruiting right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go check it out later, but they've got some things to be excited about over there in UCF recruiting, apparently. So it's a hot topic on Twitter right now.
But he recruited well at Auburn, though. It wasn't that like his recruiting classes on paper looked great at Auburn.
Well, you got a P5 school in Orlando now. That's pretty easy to recruit to Orlando, especially with the Disney money.
Listen, they're stepping up into a Power 5 conference now, so that helps. And Gus has always been able to lure 4- and 5-star kids to his program. That's not news.
Do wonder how much respect this new Big 12 is going to get, though, without Oklahoma and Texas. So, kind of like how the Pac...
It's going to get more than whatever the conference they were in before was, though.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying the Pac got, at the end of the day, got almost zero respect when it came to playoffs. And, I think the only Pac school to make the playoff is Oregon, I think.
Washington,
yeah.
Oh yeah, they made it and they got scrubbed up by Alabama. But and now that conference is dead. And so I'll be interested to see how the Big 12 holds up now that they're at. I mean, they made moves. Did I see that Oregon, Dylan, is joining the Big 12?
Oregon and Washington are joining the Big 10 with USC.
Oh, they're going to the Big 10.
UCLA.
That's right. They're going to the Big 10.
And it's really the Pac-12's fault. I mean, the commissioner is not doing anything to help them out. I mean, Apple TV Plus should never be on your menu for where you want your conference.
Yeah. Listen, failed leadership is why conferences break up. People will blame schools, but failed leadership is why. So, when the Big 12 almost broke up a while ago, everybody blamed Texas. But the truth is, the conference commissioner that let Texas do what they were doing was the problem. He was the problem. So, I don't know. He let Texas bully them, and you just can't have that. Nobody's bullying Craig Sankey. So now they're coming to the SEC, and, they got to play by SEC rules, period.
Right.
Or they won't be joining. The Pac they just fell behind. But I have to tell you, though, my Pac friends will hate me for this. Football just does not matter out there the way it does other places in the country.
Nah, it doesn't.
And I lived in Pac country for 8 years, and I'm telling you, they would rather actually drink and party than watch the football game. It's just a social event for them. That's it. That's how it feels in Pac country. So I think that's part of the reason why this thing is dying, man. And for the few schools where it does matter, where the culture does matter, they're going to a conference where it matters. I hate it for the Olympic sports. Eli Drinkowitz tried to talk about this, and he took a lot of heat, but he was right. I
understand why people are mad at Drink for what he said. I never really understood that.
There was a girl on Twitter, and her whole point amounted to, since Missouri jumped conferences, he had no room to talk.
Yeah, and that's just a nonsense.
And I thought that was a child's argument. I'm sorry. I don't like the messenger, so the messenger invalid is a child's argument. He had nothing to do with Missouri leaving. He wasn't even the coach. And even if he was the coach, it's their university leadership that makes that decision, because coaches come and go.
Well,
right.
It's a whole domino effect, and I've seen so many theories and all that stuff. It's like this Longhorn Network's fault. I mean, the Longhorn Network severely ruined the Big 12's status on television, because the one school just has all of this exposure now just with their own channel. So
which is why that Greg Sankey was like, "Yeah, you guys could come, but you leave your network."
You leave. But remember, Dylan. Remember when they were about to break up, they tried to go to the Pac, and the Pac told them no for the Longhorn Network. The Big 12 was the only conference that let them get away with that, and that's why I blame the leadership, because they're always going to do what they think is in their best financial interest. They don't care about the other schools, but ultimately, it did matter. The other schools did matter, because unless you're going independent and like Notre Dame, you're just going to be a brand of your own, all on your own. then you need those other schools to be good. Part of the beauty of the SEC is the equitable distribution of revenue, so everybody has an equal chance to compete if their fan support rises to the same level as everybody else's. That's what makes the conference work. All that bowl money goes into a pot and then evenly distributed to all the schools.
But you know what's the crazy thing about that is that's the ACC. That was what the whole hubbub was about. They didn't like that because the guys who were making all of the money felt like they were holding it down for everybody else, and they were like, well, we should get a bigger portion of the pot because we're actually bringing all the money in. The difference with the SEC is there's been a lot of different people contributing to that pot. The ACC's problem is that they didn't have enough depth throughout the conference for it to even feel like anybody else was doing a good enough job.
Yeah. 6 different national championships since 2000. Different champions since 2000. Come on, man. No other conference can claim anything close to that. And when it was the BCS, it was a free-for-all for all SEC teams. It wasn't just Bama and Georgia during the BCS era, right? It was Auburn, it was LSU, it was Florida, it was Bama. I mean, they were winning championships all over the place. But you give everybody, again, an equal chance to compete by distributing the revenue evenly, and that was a big model. People get so mad when people are like, never in my life have I ever rooted for a conference. You guys are weird. And it's like, you guys don't get it. We still hate Alabama. We do. But in your heart of hearts, you know when they win, it is good for you because when you beat them, there is no question that you belong. Right. 2017 Auburn, if they had beat Georgia in the SEC championship, would have been the first 2-loss team to make the playoff. I believe. Is that right? Yeah. They would have been the first 2-loss team to make the playoff. And it wouldn't have even been questioned. 2007 LSU, first 2-loss team to win the BCS. When you play against the best and you give everybody a chance to compete, then you benefit from it. On the year that you might happen to be good, nobody's going to question you because you ran the gauntlet. That's it. Now, weirdly enough, Georgia has one of the weakest schedules I've ever seen coming up. I mean, it's bad. Yeah. But, those schedules are made years in advance. I guess. I don't know how they had a schedule draw that week, Dylan.
It's worth mentioning they were supposed to start the season off with Oklahoma. And
yes, that's right.
Then they moved to the SEC, and now they have.
That's right.
Which FCS Carolina team do they have? Western Carolina is their week one opponent.
Yeah,
something like that.
So starting off tough for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, let's go ahead and pencil them. I mean, unless they have a complete collapse at quarterback, they should have a chance at an undefeated season for sure.
Stetson Bennett struggled with Samford last year for a little bit until the defense, I think, scored 21 points. I believe something like that.
Did he
it's
really?
Always nice to have, yeah.
It was something like that. It was like first half. He just could not throw the ball to save his life against the Samford Bulldogs, the superior Bulldog team in the South, if you will.
But hopefully that's not the same team that we're playing in week 3.
Yeah,
I don't want to see none of that.
That's superior to Georgia. Woo, we got some problems. We sure as hell can't beat them. Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it, man. Let's talk about some of these statistics. So I'm just going to start, and I'm going to call out a statistic, and then you tell me who you think is going to be the guy that leads Auburn in this statistical category. We'll go through these fairly quickly, I think, but I will start off with probably, not the easiest to predict, but the one that everybody will want to talk about most, and that's in total tackles. Who's going to be the leader in tackles on this defense this season? I will get us kicked off. Dylan, how about you as the guest? You start us off, man.
All right, so for tackles, last couple of years it's been Owen Papo, and I'm going to stick with linebackers here. It's the best linebacker I've been hearing all through fall camp and spring camp. I'm going to go Austin Keys. I think he's the best linebacker on the team, and I think he's going to lead the team in tackles probably by 10 or 15.
Yeah, okay. Austin Keys was my pick. Ideally, this is a linebacker. Remember a couple of years ago, Zacoby McClain literally led the nation in tackles. So he was finding the ball. I think, when your D-line is doing their job and linebackers have a nose for the football and they're roaming free, they're going to have a lot of tackles. So I do like Larry Nixon as well, too.
Yeah, I think it's hard to not pick a linebacker for something like this, man, just because I think that, they're the ones that they get the first and second level tackles. They're going to get the sacks. They're going to get the opportunities. And, I'm going to pull a homer here, and I'm going to pick my guy just because I can. And I'm going to say Keontae Scott's going to lead the team in tackles because I think his hybrid position at a jackbacker will allow him to be able to get the pass rush stuff, the stuff in the secondary, and he'll be able to be there in run support. I'm going to go with my guy, Keontae Scott, leading the team in tackles. Probably won't even be close to Keontae Scott, but I'm going with my boy. I don't care. Keontae Scott, leader. Boom.
Okay. All right.
I don't hate it.
All right. Got total tackles. All right. Let's talk about some defensive back stuff. Let's start with interceptions. Who's going to be the leader in INTs for Auburn this year? Mike G, I will let you get the first bite at the apple.
Yeah, this has to be DJ James, man. And he had a lot of almost interceptions last year, right? Like he dropped some. He dropped a few. I did have a chance to have a conversation with him about catching those ones that he dropped over on the Victory podcast. He's hungry. He feels like that's a part of his game that he's improved. I wonder though if he is really how much teams are going to test him this year. It's the only thing I don't like about this stat for him. But Auburn has not been a real high interception team over the last few years, right? Like it's not a stat they've done well in. So he doesn't have to get a ton of them to lead the team. Which is why I'm going with DJ on this one. I think in the opportunities that he gets, he catches them. And, I like him for this. I think he's going to be the DB in the position the most to get picks. So I like him to get the most opportunities at this.
Gotcha. Dylan, what you thinking?
I almost thought DJ James, but I'll explain him whenever we get to another stat for DBs. I'm going with Jalen Simpson on this.
I like this pick. It's a great pick.
Simp was a first year playing full safety, and I think safety is his best position. And last year, he led the team in interceptions. For what it's worth, he had 2. But Ron Roberts' defense has always been very turnover heavy for defensive backs and just interceptions in general. And Simpson just finds ways to be where the ball is, and I think he's great at making plays on the ball. And I think he might get 5 or 6 this year, just because he's going to be playing at a great spot between 2 great DBs.
Yeah, I think I too am going to go with Jalen Simpson on this one. I think that Simp has always found a way to be just he's got a nose for the football. He's going into his first full season at safety, roving around there in that defensive backfield. He's got all the speed necessary to be able to play sideline to sideline back there. He's a good rover. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be causing a lot of havoc back there for quarterbacks. I like Simpson to lead the team in interceptions this season. If he can stay healthy, I think it's going to be him. All right. Now let's stay with the DBs, and we will go with the other obvious defensive back one, and that is pass breakups. Who is going to be the defensive back that ends up with the most pass breakups out there? For me, this is the one I think that I am going to go with. Kayan Lee will have the most PBUs. I think he actually ends up playing a lot of snaps, and I think that he is going to be a guy. The only reason I don't go DJ James here is for part of what happened during Mike's explanation is I don't know that they're going to throw to him very often.
Yeah.
So I think more opportunities are going to go to the guy playing the opposite corner from him. So I'm going to go with Kayan Lee as the guy with the most pass breakups. Let's go second. Dylan, what do you think?
This is where I'm going DJ James. And I say that to say this. I have compared him so much this offseason to Carlton Davis. And as great as Carlton Davis was, he did not get a lot of interceptions. He played 3 years at Auburn. He got 4 interceptions. But on the other hand, he got 28 pass breakups. And that's just because he's a hard-nosed man coverage DB, just like DJ James is. And he didn't get a lot of interceptions last year, got 1. And I think it's going to be the same thing. And it still does not hurt how great of a DB he is, just the fact that he's just not giving up catches and he's just batting the ball down because you're making plays on the ball. And it doesn't matter. You can't get interceptions. The pass breakups are sometimes cooler to watch than the interceptions are.
Yeah, listen, man. If they don't catch it, I'm fine with it. Yeah. Mike G, what you feeling, man?
We're talking pass breakups here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this has got to be DJ James as well, too, for me,
Okay.
right? I think that he's going to be he didn't get first team all SEC, but I think he's going to end first team all SEC. You know, I mean, it's you know, the problem with this is that when you play on a bad team, but you're a good player, you have to be almost perfect to get the recognition you deserve. And so projecting out talent is something that the media doesn't do a whole lot, right? Now, we talked about this at media days. When we get the ballot, there's like 12 names on there for DB.
Right.
And I'm telling you, there are not a ton of guys who vote that know a lot about all 12 of those players.
For sure.
So
I didn't know all of them.
Yeah.
And I knew a lot of them.
Yeah, to vote fairly. So what ends up happening is Alabama and Georgia players end up getting voted at the top because you just assume since they're good. I don't do this, but like I know a lot of guys assume since they're good, you know, vote for one of their players.
Right.
And that's how they end up all the SEC. And there's always somebody that gets slept on. No way Jarquez Hunter should have been 13. No way. No way. I didn't understand that. I mean, your average is like 6-7 yards a carry. I'm just like, he should have been second team all SEC if you ask me. And I think DJ James is going to be first team. This has got to be him. He's gonna have a great season. And listen, if we're wrong about the stats, but it's because his side of the field is shut down, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, listen.
I'm okay with that.
I'm thankful for an opportunity where we have guys shutting down one side of the field. I welcome that every single time.
I mean, honestly, when you have a shutdown corner, it shrinks the field for everybody else.
Right.
In that secondary. So, like, you know, if you can leave him one-on-one with his man and you don't have to cover over the top and, you know, like, I mean, it gets easier for everybody. And this is maybe where Simp comes in, like Dylan was talking about, and takes advantage of that side of the field being shut down. And you know, again, they think, let's test him. Let's go at him.
Right.
Yeah, if you can prove that's a mistake, you're going to eat a lot. We've seen that over the years with certain DBs. So we'll see. But yeah, DJ James.
All right. Not mad at it. Okay. Now let's get back into some tackling statistics. Let's go with who do we feel like is going to lead in sacks? Who's going to be the sack leader for Auburn this season?
Tough question.
Mike looks like he needs some time to think about it. Dylan, I'm going to start with you then. Who's going to be the leader in sacks for Auburn this season?
When was the last time a true freshman led Auburn in sacks?
I don't know.
Carl Lawson?
Carl Lawson? Because I think I may have been, but I think after this season, that answer is going to be Keldrick Falk. Okay. And that's who I'm rocking with. I love Elijah McAllister. I love Jalen McLeod. But something about Keldrick Falk just screams instant starter as a true freshman. And I just think he's going to take advantage of that and the edge position for him. He's just so freaking good. So I'm gonna rep the true freshie here.
Okay. Mike, you had a time to think about it.
I'm going with McLeod on this one. I think that he's going to be a dude. So that's who I like there. 100%.
Yeah, I think I too am going to agree with Mike G and say Jalen McLeod is going to be our leader in sacks this season. I just think that's going to be what they're going to bring him in to do. He's coming in and he is going hunting for the quarterback. And I like what they're saying about him in practice. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be, you know, a double-digit sack guy for Auburn this season.
And McLeod's best game last year was against A&M, so maybe Jalen McLeod can also get Jimbo Fisher fired in week 4.
Not mad at that. All right, in a similar category, but let's talk about tackles for loss. Who is Auburn's leader in tackles for loss this season? I will say I actually am going to go with your pick on the sack one here, and I think Keldrick Falk might have the opportunity to be the leader in tackles for loss this season for Auburn. I don't know. He's probably going to be a hard guy to block, man. I think he's going to get enough snaps to be able to do it. I almost went Marcus Harris on this. Let me just say this. I almost went Marcus Harris on this, but I think I'm going to go with Keldrick Falk as the leader in tackles for loss this season. Let's go second to Dylan on this one. Dylan.
This is where I went Marcus Harris, weirdly enough.
Okay.
Just because I think you're going to try to run away from the Jacks. So at that point,
Dylan.
you got Jason Jones and Justin Rogers pushing the guards back, and then there's Marcus Harris waiting for the running back right there. So I think he's going to build those up, and I think Marcus Harris is going to have a great year with just getting TFLs back left and right.
Not mad at that. I think I'm assuming by your reaction, Mike G, you were going to go Marcus Harris as well.
No. I mean, I like his explanation about running away from the Jack, but hear me out on this one. Jason Jones.
Not mad at that one.
Because tackles for loss are not always. I mean, a lot of people think about sacks, right? But you hit that running back behind the line,
right?
Tackle for a loss,
right?
I see those guys getting some strong push up front, in the middle, and I can see Jason Jones stopping a lot of guys a yard short of the line of scrimmage. Those guys look big. I mean, one thing that we've seen from the Firesides, we've seen guys look ready to play. Seeing them in person, when they walk up, I'm like, woof, man, they've been lifting extra weight.
Right.
So Jason Jones is one of those guys. I like Justin Rogers. I see him more as just a kind of like a clog up the middle type guy. But I think Jason Jones, man, I like Jason Jones for this.
Yeah, not mad at that pick, man. Jason Jones is a guy that I think is going to be a consistent. Because another thing that you have to think about in when you're thinking about stuff like tackles for loss is snaps, right? Like who's going to get the most opportunities to do that sort of thing. I think both Marcus Harris and Jason Jones are going to be guys that you see get opportunities a lot just because of their snap count. So I think both of those are really good picks for potentially being disruptors and getting tackles for loss. Because again, like Mike G said, it's not always about the sack total. It is going to be about guys who are getting us in some negative situations on first and second down. So if somebody has an opportunity to get out there and third and long can be a disruptor as far as getting sacks. All right. Now, this is going to be a weird one, but I'm still going to ask you guys, who is going to force the most fumbles this season for Auburn? I'm going to give you a second to think about this one because this one is not really. You already got one?
Oh, I got mine.
Okay. All right. Well, Dylan, what's up? Force fumbles. Who's going to be the leader?
Throw it back over to the Auburn feeder school in North Texas. I think Larry Nixon is going to. And I always talk about how big of a linebacker he is and how he can just fill holes in the 5-man defensive line. I think he's going to find that B gap, that A gap, that C gap, just wherever that running back is going to go, and he is going to pop the crap out of that running back and knock that ball out probably 5 times.
Yeah, he's got a nose for the football. That was actually my pick as well, too. Do you remember that play against Penn State where Pap hit what was the quarterback's name? Sean Clifford.
Yeah.
Right. And he just blasted him, and we were like, yes, we're gonna win. And then we didn't. But it was a great hit. And I could see Larry Nixon. I mean, when you watch this tape, he's got a nose for the football. And to be able to cause fumbles, you got to be able to get to the football first and foremost. Because football is running away from you constantly. I think he finds the football, so I think he's in the most position to lead this stat. So, yes, Dylan, I agree with you, sir. Larry Nixon forces like 40 fumbles this season. 40. Yep.
I like 40. I do like 40.
Best of all time. Sets the record. Will never be broken.
That's probably a career record, too. Not only just a season record.
Yeah. He'll get drafted like mid-season, right? Some of the team will come pick him up.
Get called up.
In October.
I think I am going to go with Donovan Kaufman on this one.
Interesting.
Donovan Kaufman, speaking of a guy with a nose for the football, I think he's going to be coming up in run support a lot. I think he's going to have opportunities to blitz quite a bit in this defensive scheme. And I think he's going to be a guy who's going to make some of those wide receivers back there have to hold on to the ball properly. I vividly remember the Texas A&M play that he made where he's running the running back down who was clearly about to go score a touchdown, and he comes from behind and strips him.
Yeah.
I think Donovan Kaufman is going to be a guy who's going to be out there looking for. Just hearing Donovan
he
Kaufman,
recovered on that play.
right? But just hearing him talk about that play, and he was just like, man, I saw air, right? Like he's running a guy down full speed, full sprint, and he's like, well, he noticed the way the running back was carrying the ball was an opportunity for him to not just make a tackle, but go out there and change the trajectory of a play. I think Donovan Kaufman, if he remains healthy, is going to be a guy who continues to do that sort of thing for this team. I think they're going to have him playing all over the defense. Donovan Kaufman's the guy I'm going to go for on forced fumbles here. All right. Let's see. Do I have any other statistical categories?
I got a weird one we could do.
Yeah. What's up? What you got?
Touchdowns.
Ooh, defensive touchdowns is a good one. I actually considered putting this one in here. But yeah, defensive touchdowns is a good stat. Mike G, you have any thoughts on who's going to have the most defensive touchdowns?
I wasn't prepared for this one.
I know who I'm going to say. And I'm going to give you
all
guys
all those picks that I think DJ James is going to get. It's going to be a few pick sixes in there.
Okay, listen, he had one last year. The Western Kentucky pick six is,
so I like DJ. I like DJ.
I'm not mad at it. Not
40
mad
pick
at
sixes. He also sets a record.
Listen, if we're going, listen, I got to ride with my boy on this one again. I think Keontae Scott is going to be in the position to get some defensive touchdowns this year. I've watched this Ron Roberts defense, and I just like what he does with that star position. And I think that Keontae Scott's going to be an opportunistic guy. He's going to take a couple of them to the crib this year. I'm going to go with Keontae Scott on that one. Dylan, what you feeling about that?
I'm going to go Jay Simp. I mean, again, just a guy who's really good with the ball in his hands. He's got an eye for it when it's in the air. And he's basically a wide receiver playing defense. So I'm a rock with Jay Simp here.
Yeah, all right. I like it. All right, so I see you guys putting a lot of stuff here in the comment section. It would have taken me all day to just kind of highlight a lot of the comments that you guys had on. I saw a lot of Keldrick Falk answers out there. I saw some Marcus Harris, and I've seen some Simp. It's been all over the place. There's a lot of guys to choose from. Glad to see that. We are going to get into this drawing, though, real quick, and we're going to continue the conversation, get into the chat. So let's see. We're going to be giving away the T-shirt today. Hashtag get your weight up to be able to get in on this. You guys know I don't want to take forever to get into this drawing. If you didn't decide you wanted to do it already, too late. We're getting into it, man. So if you didn't get the hashtag in, sorry to this man. But Anthony Grant, what's up, man? Hey, that's a good one. I haven't seen you win anything, so make sure that you get at us if you are still here in the live chat, and we can go ahead and get that over to you. We appreciate that very much. We tease it a little bit, but I do want to make sure that we give you guys an opportunity to see what we have been cooking up. Pun sort of intended for that. But the newest fireside chat is coming you guys' way, sponsored by our folks over at Golden's Cast Iron and 2298 Vintage. Check it out. Here is a preview of what we got coming up here with the next fireside. Yeah, fireside with the War Report presented by Golden's Cast Iron. As you guys see, we got the running backs in around the fire this time. Really great conversation with guys who, let's be clear, they don't talk a lot, man, but we still had fun talking to them.
Yeah, listen, Brian Bati.
You gotta put that. You gotta put that. Bati. That first syllables got to get that accent. So it's
Jamaican is
Bati,
right? Yeah, he is. He's an interesting guy. He's a great guy, actually, and I enjoy talking to him quite a bit. He's a new guy to the room. Seems like he's fitting into the culture really well there. And the synergy that he has with the other two is amazing. It's great. We've heard a lot from the players about how each position group and room is coming together. So it's nice to see that with the running back rooms. We talked about this a little off camera, or maybe it was on camera. I think it was off camera. But 2004, somehow Tuberville had to convince Ronnie and Cadillac to come back. But having worked in that athletic department during that time as a video guy, I mean, we thought it was a foregone conclusion one of them was going to leave. And when they both decided to come back, it was mind blowing. But this is a different day and age. Like, you need more than one running back. And so convincing these guys that there's enough ball to go around for all of them is a chore. It's hard. And they have done that with these guys. So you convinced the USF transfer to come in, and he looked good during A-Day, man. I've been told he has held the tackle.
Yeah.
So you expect them, and these are three very unselfish guys. Jarquez Hunter has a great season. This is his last year in college. You guys, a lot of people make a big deal about Jay Fair, but I was on Jarquez Hunter first.
Yeah, for sure.
I said, I told people in the offseason, I said, I feel like this guy is going to be a player for Auburn. He's an absolute monster in the weight room. Again, does all the things that you would ask of a player, in the classroom, works hard, just is an absolute example for how to get things done in practice. And because we're big on strength and conditioning, like, man, when guys go in and they just mash their weight room goals and they blow them away, it's nice to see that. And I think it sets the tone for, being able to be a good player. So you got three guys there. I've been seeing the comments on social media. People are surprised that Damari looks bigger than Jarquez.
Bro, Damari, listen, we heard this last year. And the term that people were giving to me is Damari Austin is a unit. Like, he is built solidly. That is a young man who you don't want to go head up with, man. He's gonna
be a problem. He's gonna be a problem. Yeah.
And he's fast. He's not just big, he's fast too, man. And he said he's gotten faster. That's scary, bro.
Yeah, that's great. That's scary. Him and all these guys are fast. Yeah. Right? Like, all these guys are sub 4.5 guys. And
that whole conversation about who's the fastest, I'm not gonna spoil it for y'all. But
it was really good. It was really good. So Fireside with the War Report. We'll announce on social media like when exactly. It's in post-production right now, but when exactly it's going to drop, when we're sure, we'll let you guys know. But we appreciate everybody's support. Your support allows these firesides to happen. I think Damari Olsen already tweeted at us what a great time he had, and those guys want to come back after the season once they've overcome everybody's expectation of them. I can't wait for the follow-up fireside. It's going to be amazing. So, if that room goes for 3,000 yards or something crazy, I can't wait to sit down. It's going to be a bigger I told you so than my Jay Fair I told you so. That's a big one. So had a lot of fun with this one.
It's worth mentioning also what no one's talking about the teaser, the Wombo combo of the dad fit mixed with the dad stance from Ike.
Yeah, I was like, yo, I have to stop standing like this, bro. Like, I don't know what I'm doing out here in these streets, but
Dylan, you wrong for that.
It was absolutely awful. Nah, I was gonna point it out myself. I was gonna be like, bro, like, I gotta be more cognizant of how I'm standing, man. I look like somebody's dad in that video. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah. Who left the AC on?
Pulled up to the youth soccer camp and he's like, yeah, man, why is my kid not starting?
It was awful, man. I was just like, yo, what is happening right now to my life?
Dude, let's have a beer,
man. Hold on. I didn't even see this happening. Popping in with us real quick. I got Justin from over here at Up Tempo in this thing, man. Appreciate you jumping in with us, man. We talked about I'll give you an opportunity to give some picks here on the defensive side. So I'm just going to throw out the statistic and you tell me who you think is going to be the Auburn stat leader. After you do that, or we'll go to, are you going to need a minute to get your thoughts together on this, or you already got some ideas?
No, you know where I'm going.
Okay, let's get to it then. And we're going to get to the live chat comments and then we'll get out of here. But all right, so Total tackles on the season, man. Dustin, who do you think is going to be Auburn's leader with that?
My guy, Robert Woodyard, is about to bust on the scene.
Okay, there's a new name.
251, stand up.
Not mad at that at all.
Okay.
Robert Woodyard, total tackles. Okay. A lot of linebacker picks for that one right there. Okay, so who do you think is going to be the leader in interceptions this year for Auburn?
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go DJ. I mean, you're obviously you wonder if he's gonna be like just locked down. They're not gonna throw it over there, but yeah, I think he just has a breakout year. I think he just finds a way to get around the ball.
Okay, not mad at that one. Okay, let's talk about the disruptive stuff from the defensive backfield pass breakups then. Who do you feel like is going to be the leader there? Which you can have the same name again. Okay, J. Simp, like it. I like that. What about sacks? Who's going to be the sack leader this year?
My guy, Keldrick.
Okay, Keldrick.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
This is the name that we're hearing, so I don't hate it. Yeah, it's a name we're hearing a lot.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be my committee, Mike. It's gonna be a lot of guys that have 6 to 8 tackles, but I think Keldrick he's that dude, man.
Okay.
All right.
What about tackles for loss? So that includes sacks, but just tackles for loss total on that one.
Marcus
Harris. Okay, that's another. We talked about him a little bit, and then the other one that we asked about was forced fumbles. Who's going to be forcing the most fumbles this season? That's a tough one. It's a tough one.
Jalen McLeod.
I like it too. I like that too. And then kind of the quirky one that Dylan threw in there, but I like it. Defensive touchdowns. Who's going to have the most defensive touchdowns for Auburn this season?
Let's put DJ James in the first round of the NFL draft. DJ James.
Okay, DJ James. I like it. Okay, we had some repeats from what some of the other guys said on that one. I like that a lot. All right. Let's get into the comment section and see what you guys have been buzzing about here in the comments before we get out of here tonight. Of course, we will start with the super chats. Getting back to Perry Unlikely, who sent this earlier. I thought Gus did well until the last few years. Speaking of his recruiting classes, don't disagree. Up until the last couple of years, he did have some really good recruit. I mean, well, he was always, top. I don't think he had a class that was outside the top 15 his entire time. So, Gus did his job when he was here as far as getting high stars on his recruit. It was just really more so about evaluating which were the best fits for it. And really where he let himself down is the offensive line. But no, I have no qualms with Gus's ability to recruit. It's not surprised he's been able to translate that over to UCF. So
he's always been a good recruiter, but he's just never been a good developer of those recruits.
Yeah, that's been the issue. Super chat here from Travis Latham, who says, being a crazed Auburn Tiger fanatic for 40 years and being from Tennessee, I just want to thank you guys so much for giving me the best Auburn content. Hey, man, we appreciate this comment. We're trying our best, and that's why we went out and we got some young guns that are going to continue to bring some content on 2 other channels, man. So you guys make sure, if you're not subscribed to the Uptempo podcast and the College Loop, make sure you do that, man. The whole War Report family doing.
I can't wait for you guys to hear from these guys during the spring too, because one of our missions is to make sure that the Olympic sports get a lot of coverage.
Yep.
Right. They deserve it, man. Women's basketball. If you haven't seen what we posted on social media, we went and we sat down with Coach Johnny Harris and talked about what she's trying to do, what she's trying to build. So between Ike and B. Will, Caesar and I, we cover as much as we can. But College Loop, Uptempo, I'm looking forward to these guys helping us cover some ground and making sure that the Olympic sports get the coverage they deserve. Quite honestly.
Yep.
Right. It's so many times I think we wait until they win to start hyping them.
Right.
But we have a women's basketball coach who feels like she's got a good squad now, and nobody is taking notice within her own community.
Yep.
So, Coach Harris, we notice.
Go ahead and shout out Marshawn Bostic and Savannah Scott.
They want to work
last
out there
night,
in France. Yeah.
Kind of having fun with the Paris All-Stars, getting double doubles for not Savannah Scott. She got 10 and 6, but double double for Marshawn Bostic.
Yeah. See,
and
Dylan already knows. I didn't even know that was happening.
Yeah, Marshawn Bostic was one of the players
Yeah.
when I talked to Coach Harris about who she was excited about stepping up this year. She mentioned Marshawn and just her how she evolved over the back half of the season last year, and she expected this campaign to be one she was going to be putting the ball in her hands a lot more often this year, and she's already proven her right. First game out there in France with the double, man. So looking forward to seeing what Bostic's going to produce for the team. Let's see. Next up here, appreciate the super chat from Scotty Carroll, who says, do you think within 4 years we might have a Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback for Auburn? In the next 4 years, can Hugh Freeze produce a Heisman Trophy quarterback candidate?
He might at receiver. I don't know about quarterback.
I mean, listen, we've got some stud receivers already out here in the next couple of classes.
I don't know. I don't know if you can have a receiver and not have a quarterback at least somewhere close, right? Like,
I mean, Mac Jones and Vontae Smith.
I was about to say, was Mac Jones?
Mac Jones made the room.
Yeah. Did he deserve it though? I mean, come on, let's be.
He made the room. So
who was it?
He was a finalist.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Did he deserve it? I know where it was, but
who was Baker's wide receiver whenever he won the Heisman?
Oh man, come on, you had asked me that. God, what was that guy's name?
Was it Stills or Sills, something like that?
No,
is it the kid that's at Dallas right now?
Yes,
CD Lamb.
CD Lamb.
No, it wasn't CD. I don't think it was CD.
You don't think it was CD? No,
that's
what I was thinking about.
It's gonna kill me, so I'm gonna go look it up.
All right, there you go.
Marcus Brown, SS Austin says Marquise Brown, downtown Sterling? Hollywood Brown.
Sterling, Hollywood Brown.
Hollywood Brown was definitely there. Yeah, that was the kid that was at the Ravens when he came out.
Yeah, so, he went to the Ravens.
All right, but I mean, listen. The question is, do we think that Auburn can have a Heisman contender at quarterback in the next 4 seasons?
So
let's project forward though, right? Like who
you're basically asking is Walker White Heisman, right?
Well, you remember I tweeted out that I want to see Hugh Freeze take a talent like Robbie and get him to New York. And everybody freaked out on me and said, Mike G thinks Robbie Ashford is going to win the Heisman. No, that's not what I said, right? I want to see the guy who proclaimed to be a QB developer take a talent like that and produce a Heisman campaign. And I don't think that's unreasonable. That's what you do. He got Malik into the 3rd round of the draft. That kid couldn't win the job here somehow. So, I mean, I want to see them project out talent better than Auburn has been at quarterback. Just feels like once every 4 to 5 years, we get somebody who's good. They're in the running for a championship, and then they're gone. And then it's the quarterback doldrums for another 4 to 5 years. Every full moon, Auburn gets a good quarterback.
Yeah. Well, Dylan, you found the research
on
that wide receiver.
Every leap year.
it was the year before Baker won. It was Lamar Jackson's year, and it was Baker finished 3rd with D.D. Westbrook.
D.D. Westbrook. Okay, yeah, D.D. was a good one.
Yeah,
Westbrook was a good one.
That was gonna eat at me until I figured that out.
Mm-hmm. All good. So I mean, but like I said, if we project forward the quarterback position, right? Like, so who do we think? So next 4 years, I mean, we're talking about Holden, Walker White. What's the kid that's a true freshman? Right, Hank Brown. Mm-hmm. Right. Those are feasibly going to be 3 guys that should be in the room for the next 4 years, and likely one of those 3 will be a starter for us in. I can say 2 of the 4 years, it'll be a combination of those guys.
Right.
Unless some random freshman pops up in, or Robbie Ashford makes this tremendous leap and he's the starter next year. Do you see any of those guys potentially being Heisman candidates?
Well, here's a statistical question to go along with that. Do you see any one of those guys throwing for about 4,500 to 5,000 yards? Because that's what's going to take.
Or they're gonna, or it's gonna be like a Robbie Ashford where they're 3,000, but then he runs for 2 or something. Like
that. I mean, show me where Hugh Freeze has produced that sort of quarterback outside of Malik Willis, and sure, but I mean, I'm not counting on it because it doesn't seem like he's recruiting those types of guys.
Philip Montgomery was able to do it, right? So.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I don't see them recruiting those types of guys. They're not in the pipeline right now. So, based on who he's recruiting, I'm saying they're gonna have to produce a 5,000-yard passer, which will absolutely smash every single record that Auburn has ever had,
right,
in the passing game. Because barely, I mean, it's rare for Auburn. I think our last 3,000-yard passer was Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah,
barely.
Yeah,
and before that, maybe Cam came up just short of 3,000.
Yeah, I don't think Cam.
It was like 2,900.
Cam through 2,500.
2,500. Yeah, I mean, but he ran for 1,400. It led the SEC.
That's what I was saying. Like Robbie's numbers are going to have to look like that. Cam
like that. Yeah, that would be it. You know, I don't think that's happening for Robbie this season.
No.
So, you know, after this, you know, is he going to take a quarterback and do what Gus Malzahn did with Cam, or is he going to produce something that we've never seen at Auburn ever?
Right, which is a crazy throwing performance from.
That's
somebody.
it.
Yeah.
Hear me out. Bo Nix threw the ball more in 3 years than Stan White did as Auburn's only true 4-year starter. Now, Jason Campbell started in games for 4 years, but he wasn't a 4-year starter because he didn't start that season to start. Right. And he split time with Daniel Cobb the next year and all that stuff. Right. But like Stan White started every game he was healthy for 4 straight years for Auburn. And he didn't break those records. Now, he broke a lot of records, certainly, but because he threw the ball more than anybody at Auburn ever. It's just so rare for Auburn to have a guy just go out there and throw a high volume. I mean, I think if Stidham had the chance to throw the ball as much as Bo did, he might have, right? But there was no need for that because they had carry on and they had a good running game and they maintained balance. You know, Joe Burrow went out and threw for something crazy, over 5,000 yards and like 60 touchdowns or something nuts. To win the Heisman at quarterback, those are the types of numbers that you have to put up, which is my point. And even in the years where we had a guy who threw the ball the requisite amount to hit those numbers, they ain't coming anywhere close. So this would truly be something, I think, for him to get a guy in there.
Yeah.
What's more like?
To your point, Mike, Damian Craig, 3,277 yards is our all-time passing season, 1997.
That's nuts. Right? Okay, so hear me out. 8 quarterbacks in the pack threw for 3,000 or more yards last year. 8. Half the conference threw for 3,000 or more yards. They had like 2 or 3. I know Michael Penix and Caleb Williams threw for over 4,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
The SEC had 5 3,000-yard or more passers last year. But it would be prolific here at Auburn. I don't know. I don't see, outside of Robbie Ashford, I don't see anybody who has the ability to do anything close to what Cam did on the ground.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So we're looking for a Stetson Bennett type season last year from a quarterback at Auburn. He threw for like 4,500 yards or something nuts. I mean, he was statistically, he went crazy year over year,
right? Passing
the ball. Do we see that? Do we see that happening? I'll be interested to see if that's the route Hugh Freeze goes with this.
Now, look at the last true dual threat quarterback to win the Heisman is Lamar Jackson. I mean, he even had 3,500 passing yards with 30 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, but he also ran for 1,500
yards
and 21 touchdowns on the ground as well. So
that's so nuts, man.
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson
cheat code.
Such
right. So if you're to your point, Dylan, if you're not going to be plus 4,000 yards passing, plus 4,500 yards passing, you have to add a lot of yards on the ground and a lot of TDs on the ground to be in the hunt. And I'll just be interested to see what he does. I mean, for him to do that, we're gonna have to see something we've never seen at Auburn ever.
Right.
Personally, that's what I think, and it would be exciting to see it. I'm not even saying it's not possible. So I don't want anybody to hear that. I'm just saying it would be
no.
amazing.
Mike G said it was impossible. He already said it's never going to happen.
If you go 4 years, you worry about the last 3, because then the next year you get a year for Walker White to develop behind whoever's going to start before him, and then you get 3 years of Walker White, who Hugh Freeze has clarified as his guy.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like, right, if you're projecting forward, then you're basically saying whoever the starter next year is and then Walker White. If you're talking about the next 4 years,
correct.
Of quarterback.
Yeah, that's it. Otherwise, you need Robbie Ashford to have a Cam type season to do it, because there's nobody else that they're recruiting that has that type of ability on the ground. So, maybe I don't think it will be this year, but like, again, you would need Robbie to come back for another year, go absolutely nutsoid. And then, maybe what you guys are talking about, you've had a guy that's developed a little bit and is ready and has been in the system for a year, and then he comes out and just shocks the world. So QB developer, man, that's what he touted. That's what he put at the top of his resume. I develop QBs. I'm like, all right, can't wait to see it, because boy, it has been a struggle in that department.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and prematurely pump the brakes on the Walker White hype. I'm just going to get ready for that because of
Me too.
Who's a quarterback, who's the coach's guy at quarterback. Yeah, he's going to be a 2026 Heisman front runner just from Auburn Twitter alone.
Right.
Yeah. Dylan, God, man, I'm going to get fried, and I'm just happy that you're jumping in this frying pan with me. It's lonely. It's lonely in the frying pan. I'm actually pumping the brakes on the Walker White hype train as well, too.
I mean, listen, man, he hasn't even gotten to the campus yet, so I don't know why there needs to be a hype train about him. Let's just
but he's out there recruiting for Auburn.
Yeah, that's
and get it right, and so people.
Oh no, he's
about a guy
ridiculously popular. But let's see him actually come. I mean, people were super excited about the new Manning kid out there in Texas, and he stunk it up his first spring, right? So like, let's just wait until the kid gets to school and throws a couple of passes against a collegiate defense before we start anointing him as the savior of a program. Because let's be clear, this is what sunk Bo Nix. Everybody got so hyped about him before he got here, and the expectation level was through the roof. He could never meet the expectation, and that's what made everybody in the fan base go nuts on him. Is people were like, you're not giving him a chance, or you had already anointed him, so you had to defend that. Just let the kids come in here and play, man. Even there's no harm in that.
Even Saban was not starting true freshmen to start the season at quarterback. With as much talent as they recruited, those guys stay in the system for about a year, and then they see the field. Right? I mean, Tua probably might be the closest that we've seen to a true freshman at Alabama getting time on the field. And they've been putting, all their last 4 or 5 starting quarterbacks all started on NFL teams.
Yeah.
But my point is, has become a really developmental position. I remember the first time I saw Lamar Jackson play. He ended up winning the Heisman, but Caesar and I were actually in Atlanta for the Chick-fil-A kickoff. Yeah, we were at the Chick-fil-A kickoff, and I remember when Lamar Jackson touched the field, there was a Louisville fan right next to us, and we were like, "Yo, who is he?" And I said whatever his number was, and the guy looked at me and he was like, "That's Lamar Jackson. We think he's going to be pretty good. We're so excited about him." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." He said it like he was expecting a Christmas gift or something, and I don't think he knew how right he was.
Yeah.
But even him, man, for as much talent as he had, he didn't come in and do it in year one. So, but one of my favorite football people of all time, Chris Todd, says this, and he says it all the time. He said he was talking to former Heisman winner at Oklahoma, Jason White. Jason White told him, he said, "Man, it doesn't matter if you just won 2 straight Heismans. They're always trying to bring somebody in that's better than you. Period. So if you get comfortable, you're going to get passed. And if that's what you're truly building, that's why I'm pumping the brakes, because you just never know who's going to come in who might be better." That's the game. That's the name of the game these days. It would be nice for Auburn to have a true heir apparent at quarterback every once in a while. I just remember when we just knew Jeremy Johnson was going to take the reins from Nick Marshall, and it was going to be the beginning of a long string of starters that were going to do great here. And then it all fell apart, and and then
it was nice. It was nice while it lasted, right? You had Cam Newton, and you had Nick Marshall, and you're like, "Oh yeah, we got the next one."
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on from that, Auburn Dad says, "I hope that our defense isn't feast or famine," and follows that up with, "Just curious, does Ron's defense put DBs on the best wide receiver?" So thinking about the whole DJ James thing, is he going to be following a top receiver around in that defense?
Interesting.
I
don't know.
I don't think that they do it in that way. I think it's pretty much just side to the field, and so listen, if he's going to hold down one side, it's just going to be that side. Like, just don't throw the ball to that side. You got to test the other side. So I don't think he's going to be following a guy around. That might be situational, though, right? Because even Roger McCrary wasn't doing that for the most part. He was just kind of holding down the side of the field until we got to the Bama game, and they were like, don't let that dude catch the ball. And they just put him on whoever they thought was the biggest threat at the time. So it'll be interesting to see how Ron Roberts and company decide to scheme those up. And I think that probably is going to be a week-to-week revelation for the team.
Yeah. If somebody's just eating, then they're obviously going to throw DJ on them and say, all right, shut that down.
All right. Let's see. John Brannon jumps in and says, we all need to remember this time in the future. I think we will look back on this as the beginning of the next golden age of Auburn football. Not mad at that. Hopefully you are correct. Let's see. Frankie Freeze says, do we have a pick six versus UMass War Eagle?
First game of the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind a Jason Jones pick six off a halfback screen.
A little tippity tip, in a run back. I like that.
We'll definitely have a defensive touchdown. Yeah.
I like us to have a defensive touchdown in that game. Yeah.
So. I like the punt block for a touchdown. That's what I like.
Not mad at that.
Yeah, they're punting from their own 5.
It's mad weird.
Yeah. Yeah, they're punting from their 5. It's blocked, recovered in the end zone. Touchdown.
All right. James Barnett with the super chat says, fellas, if Robbie beats out Thorne, that would mean that Robbie improved his pass game. His running ability is elite. Couldn't he get into the conversation? Thoughts on that?
This is something that I've said on every show that I've been asked this question, right? If he beats out Thorne, I would feel really good about Robbie, because I don't think he beats out Thorne unless he improves on all the things that he fell short on last year, right? If he is the same player year over year, but a better athlete and just a tiny bit better in the passing game, I don't think he beats Thorne, right? But if all things are even, you cannot replicate his athleticism.
Right.
So he takes the job. Right. But that's the biggest question. Can he raise those other parts of his game to a level that it makes it impossible to keep him off the field?
Right.
Because, like having a quarterback that can run makes you play 11 on 11, and the offense usually wins that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, listen, and I've said this before. I want to be clear in saying it again. Right now, I don't think that he beats out Thorne for the starting job. But the question is, if he were and he improved his game to that level, could he be in that conversation? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
If he's throwing at a rate that allows him to be comparable to a Peyton Thorne, who people think is going to be, just hit the check down, be safe with the ball type of thing, and he's got the elite athleticism, there's literally no reason why Robbie Ashford can't be one of the best quarterbacks in this league.
Yeah.
In the nation, really, right? Just because I think that there's going to be opportunities for him to get some, 3-yard completions that go for 40, right? So he's not going to have to do a lot of work, and he's already got the accuracy down the field to be able to stretch a defense. So if he's improving that short to intermediate stuff, then with his athleticism, you can't take him out of the conversation for something like that. But we'll see what happens.
As the resident Robbie Ashford truther, no matter where I am, I think Robbie Ashford can find, if a quarterback in the next 3 years were to find their way into a Heisman conversation, I think a developed Robbie Ashford could do that.
Yes, for sure.
And I think last Thursday we did a theoretical Thursday. Gregorio Duran, I'll shout him out for helping us with those videos, asked us if Robbie Ashford were to improve his game, have 2,500 passing yards alongside 1,000 rushing yards with 25 total touchdowns. Me and Harrison Tarr both concurred. He might find his way on a Heisman watch list up until maybe week 10 with those stat lines. Just because, and 25 total touchdowns is the most you would have seen from an Auburn quarterback since, I think, 2013. And I think that's when Nick Marshall got 26 tutties. Either that or 24, one of the two. But it would just be a season that you've not seen in over a decade.
Yeah, I mean, it puts him in rarefied air. It's going to be interesting. I'll say that it's going to be interesting to see what happens. There's still 2 scrimmages. We haven't had a single scrimmage yet, so we're going to wait and see what happens with those. And they are still competing back there for the quarterback position. Anthony Grant is here. Just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge that we saw you. You've already sent the email, so you already know what's up. I just saw the email ping come in on my phone, so he's already in there. So appreciate you being in here. A few more and we'll get out of here. Chris S. says that Ike has been on the Pac-12 network sucks. You are correct. I have been saying that for over a year now. And it's
it
always
is
been
awful.
stupid.
It's so bad. God, I mean, listen, I just imagine the
I don't want
commissioner
to. If you have to listen to freaking what's the dude's name that was on the basketball games that
Bill Walton.
If you have to listen to Bill Walton all the time, then you already know your network is terrible. But anyway, continue, Mike G.
Come on, Bill Walton's a gem. Come on.
Yeah, he's a gem. All right, leave him.
I was just saying,
unearthed.
I imagine the commissioner of the Pac-12 lied on his resume.
Do you have any experience? Yeah,
he's an undercover agent for the Big Ten.
He put down like his brother as and his mom, and he was like, I hope they don't call these people, and they didn't, and so he got the job. But this has been the worst run conference, I think, in the last 20 years. This has been bad. They've been behind. God. For
a conference that when they're good, they're so fun to watch. It just, like you said, like leadership just ruined it all. Yeah, and it's gonna be funny watching who wins the bidding war for Oregon State, Washington State, Cal, and Stanford. Who's gonna win that? The Pac-12 or the Pac-4 now, or the Mountain West Conference, who is looking to add those four into their conference. So
this just in, you can buy a 6-pack of beer, but you can't get 6 teams in the Pac-12. So
I can't wait for Stanford to play at Boston College in the ACC. It's gonna be so fun.
Awful. Ben Bloodworth says, "Can't wait for the return of Facts or Nah." Put a pin in that. It might be something that returns. At some point in time
we think about that. That was one of our staple segments.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do about that right there. AU alum says Ike is approaching Mike J. Fair status with Keontae Scott. I gladly wear the badge of the leader of the Keontae Scott Brigade. I don't care if you don't like it. He's good, and I'm going to keep driving that train until somebody else jumps on board and says, yep, Ike was right. Keontae Scott is that guy.
What's the Keontae Scott bet going to look like? Is anyone going to bet against you for Keontae Scott?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. Is anybody doubting me on my Keontae Scott hype train? I don't know. They were definitely doubting Mike G on the Jay Fair situation. Keontae Scott, I think, played too much last year for people to doubt him that much. Jay Fair, his opportunities. I started
hyping Jay before the seat light.
I mean, I did too, but I don't think people were like, oh, okay, whatever. And then he got out there and he started playing, and they were like, oh, well, maybe he is pretty good. Like Jay Fair literally had 2 targets all of last year. So it's difficult for people to project that forward and say he's going to be somebody not highly touted coming in, didn't get a lot of opportunities last year. What do you have to say? You know what I'm saying?
Mike, does Jay Fair have more yards than VAR? Is that where 100%?
Yeah, 100%.
Actually want this one.
I'm letting you know I want this one. Text me.
Yeah. It's not even a question.
Okay, I think he definitely has more catches. I don't know if he has more yards.
I don't know how much. I don't know how much VAR sees the field this year.
VAR's definitely going to play.
I'll play. I don't know how much he sees the field this year. He's behind in a lot of things. I'm not sure this coaching staff is very fond of him. Listen, Hugh Freeze, Brian Harsin talked about this, right? He talked about attitude and they had a lot of things that they had to fix, right? Nobody wanted to hear it. And then Hugh Freeze came in and started talking all the same stuff, right? So this is not about ability and talent, right? This is about how much do I think this coaching staff is going to put the guy who, is clearly got natural talent, but is not showing that he wants it more than the next guy. Right? I know what you're saying that, right? Like,
do you think Caleb Burton slid up in there?
No. You talking about the kid from Ohio State?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Same thing, man. Like, there's just gonna be a lot of names have gotten thrown around here. I think we've seen through fall camp. They've been shifting a lot of guys around at wide receiver, but there have been some names that have just stuck there as well, too, with the ones. Jay Fair, Camden Brown, Rivaldo Fairweather, And Coy, I think, is dealing with some stuff. But he's a guy I expect to play. But they have put Mardner in. We've seen Mardner a lot too, running with the ones. So I really think they're trying to send a message that this is what we expect in terms of work and work ethic, right? And and that's where we're at with it. So again, Jay Fair is just. I mean, when they say like I think everybody who makes it to this level has some level of ability that meets the requirement to see the field, right? Or at least be good if they do all the other things. But Hugh Freeze is definitely wanting to send the right messages. I think he talked about testing guys. This is something Ike has mentioned. He's talked about putting guys in uncomfortable situations during camp to see how they respond, right? And I don't know, man, unless he's hurt. That's the only caveat that I will give Jay. Unless he's hurt, I think he plays a lot, man, and it's going to be really hard to pull him off the field.
Yeah, no, I'm not questioning whether or not Jay Fair is going to be taking snaps at first team. I think that right now, if you were to ask me who's starting at the slot receiver, it's going to be Jay Fair. But VAR is going to play, and VAR is going to get targets. I think he's one of those guys that's just too talented to not play. And if they're going to play a rotation that they're talking about, who else is going to play at the slot besides him? Caleb's the only other true slot receiver we have. They might slide Coy over there to play slot, but it's going to be the Jay Fair and VAR show at the slot for the most part.
Yeah, so I'll get to this comment right here. Like, football talent is football talent. This is exactly what I think they're trying to get away from, right? I think that Harsin.
I don't think we're deep enough to get away from it this year, though. That's what I'm saying.
I think Harsin was stuck having to play some guys because of talent. Right, he just didn't. I mean, there were 100% guys he did not want to play for other issues, but they had to, right? Because he still had to win football games and it was a tough position to be in. Now they're trying to build enough depth, and I'm just saying that I think if there's an option, or if they're playing well enough, or there's no reason to pull them off the field, I think Jay Fair dominates the time there, and they're setting the stage for that right now with all the social media, and they're now. The things that I've been saying, you're starting to hear the offensive coordinator come out and say, and they've been very careful about not hyping certain guys, right? We're not hearing hype come from every position. I think the hype that's coming here is not for no reason, guys. It's a lot of the on the field things, but it's a lot of the intangibles as well too that they really, really like. So, yeah, I'll go. I mean, and I know, and that's. I mean, I've been on Jay Fair, so it sounds like that, but like. I'm just saying that if the question is who gets more yards, I'm telling you, I don't think there's going to be an equitable distribution of targets enough for him to beat Jay Fair in yards this year.
The only reason why I say I think it's still going to have an opportunity is I do think that VAR has more yards per catch, which will allow him to have less targets and catches and still be able to be close in that number. Again, I don't know that we have the luxury at the slot receiver position for VAR to not play unless he's doing something that is detrimental to the team. And I don't think it's that type of situation with him. We're going to do 4 wide situations a lot. He's going to be in those types of packages. VAR is going to get his opportunities to go out there and make an impact on the football game. So, and listen, and let's be clear about the hype train that happens on social media. Number one, it always goes in a direction that we don't think it is. And name me a season that Javarius Johnson has come into that season on that hype train. You can't name it. Every year, somebody else is getting hype from that wide receiver room, and every year, VAR still ends up being one of the guys that's one of the higher producers in that room. Yeah, it happens every single season. All of the off-field stuff that it happens every year, and VAR still goes out there and produces every year. I'm telling you, it's going to happen again this year. I do agree with you that Jay Fair is going to get the majority of the looks. I just don't want to count out VAR to that degree yet.
All right.
I mean, he led the team last year, and we talk about how terrible the system was and how none of the guys had an opportunity. It's like, well, he did better than anybody else.
Yeah, I just think he's going to happen.
Yeah,
right.
The chemistry that is happening with these new receivers and these quarterbacks, the things I've been hearing in the offseason, me personally, I just don't see it. I don't see it.
Like I said, I didn't see it. I didn't see it any other year that it happened
last year. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me what happened last year. I think what's happening this offseason, it's really pointing toward them going a whole different direction with everybody everywhere in this wide receiver room. So
if we were deeper at the slot receiver position, I would agree with you a little bit more. We're just not deep enough there yet.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to my point about chemistry with the quarterbacks. I honestly believe the quarterbacks are going to, have you ever watched a team where it just feels like the quarterback can't see anybody else but this one guy?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I think that's what happens here. I think that's what happens between Jay Fair and these quarterbacks. I don't care who's at quarterback. I'm telling you, he's going to be that guy that they just look for when they need to complete a pass. And I think it's possible, man, that he gets out and catches some deep balls and does some things. I mean, he was sneaky good at the deep ball, right? But this whole thing feels different to me, man. It just feels really different. So, in the future, the whole talent is talent thing. I think there's going to be so much talent that if you're not, I mean, this is the luxury that the better teams have had, right? Is that if you're a guy, you're talented, and you don't do the things you're supposed to be doing, you sit, and they play the next guy because he's got just as much talent.
Right.
So they're reevaluating everything in these rooms. And I think there's a lot of talent in here that nobody has noticed because they just haven't had the opportunities. Nobody else has had them. There's not been a ton of opportunity to catch the ball at Auburn over the last couple of years. And especially over the last 4 or 5 games of last season. Good God. They might have been running an old school Georgia Tech offense. It was it was run. But Hugh Freeze there's no indication in his future, and I mean in his past, that says that he is willing to run that type of offense. None. He's going to throw the ball. And so kind of switching gears to the quarterbacks, that's why I believe, again, if you're a quarterback, because he kind of hinted at this in a press conference where, I asked him straight up, so is there going to be a bona fide starter for game one? He said, we're going to have a starter. How bona fide he's going to be is going to be up in the air based on how he performs. He wants to throw the ball. And if you can't throw the ball at the level that he wants to run his offense the way he wants to do it, he's going to keep going until he finds a guy that can. But he's not going to change his whole offense up and start run, and no pass. That'd have to be the absolute last resort. I think Hugh Freeze will keep digging until he finds the guy that either catches up to the level that he wants to pass the ball at, or you're going to sit.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
That's why I think Robbie Ashford, that's the gap between Robbie Ashford and Peyton Thorne right now, right? And so if they meet that level, you're going to see a receiver emerge out of this. And I think it's not going to be a name that a lot of people think, because Shane Hooks, I'm being told, is going to be a problem as well, too.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
That's
so,
like, when you're talking about go-to receiver, like, man, there's a lot of options there, dude. Like, there's guys who I think will have the ability to get open. And I understand your point about chemistry with the quarterback being a big factor in who they're going to be trying to go to in those scenarios. I think there's some guys out there that they're big body guys, and when they're not open, they're still open type of guys.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you can't count out my guy Rivaldo in tight end spot.
Mm-hmm.
So, good Lord, man, I'm so looking forward to seeing this offense, bro. If this offense lets me down, I don't know what I'm gonna do, man. Because I'm too hype about all the weapons,
it's gonna be a long year. I mean, I haven't had a chance to talk with you guys about this, Dylan and Dustin. But the floor for this team in terms of wins has to be 6 games. I think. I don't think anything less than 6 is acceptable, because last year's team won 5. Right, and they fired a coach mid-season. So you got to get, and this is the most favorable first-year draw Hugh Freeze could have hoped for. Right, you get Georgia and Bama at home. Again, right now they're projected to lose those games despite them being at home. You got both the Mississippi schools. In the first, I mean, there's a real, if you get it clicking early, there's a chance you could start the season 4-0. Right, Texas A&M, we'll see how they pull it together by game 4, but there's still a ton of talent on this team. But man, their offense was all-time bad last year. So unless Brian believes Petrino will come in and do something great, but the quarterback position, without dynamic quarterback play in this league these days, your offense can stall a lot. So does one of the Texas A&M quarterbacks take the leap? If they're still doing the quarterback shuffle by game 4, I like Auburn.
Yeah,
I do. Right. So then Auburn, outside of that, has to find 2 more games to win to get to 6. You got to give me in November, and you got Vanderbilt on the schedule. You play both the Mississippi schools at home, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Both at home.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you got to get one of those. You got to find a way to beat Cam Newton light at Arkansas. Right. They keep comparing them to Cam Newton. But you got to, you know, there are games to be. There are 7 games to be won on the schedule, if you ask me. 7 games by Auburn, and then you got to shock the world, and you got to beat somebody nobody expects you to beat. Dylan.
Unless you're Daniel or what's the other kid's name over there who said
Colin?
we're going to lose to Ole Miss? Colin, who said we're going to lose to Ole Miss.
I mean, I got Auburn 7-2 going into Archie.
Woo!
Yeah.
You got Hugh Freeze in the running for SEC Coach of the Year 9 games in.
He's going undefeated against the state of Mississippi this year.
I like that. Listen, I am not mad at that at all. Revenge on Ole Miss. You know what I mean?
And Hugh Freeze is going to put Texas A&M $80 million in the hole in College Station. So right in front of Cam Coleman too. So that's going to be a fun weekend.
If they lose to Miami, if they lose to Miami before, I'm telling you, man, just lose that game alone. The noise is going to turn up.
It's going to be scary hours in College Station if they lose to Miami and Auburn. If they're 2-2 in those first 4 games.
Oh, they're both.
Yeah, he's done. I'm with Dylan. He's done if they go 2-2. I'm saying if they lose to Miami, the heat is turned up loud, and then if we come in there and get it, I think he's out.
Jimbo's going to be in Petrino's sidecar whenever on the way out of College Station.
And then they just disbanded their NIL collective, Texas A&M. Yeah. What is happening down there in Colt Country? All right, man, let's get up out of here. A lot of great conversation happening. We appreciate everybody who continues to do all of the chats with us here, man, but we're not going to take up all of your night. Happy to have you guys in here on a Thursday night. If you're not already a member, go ahead and make that happen. It's not a large monthly commitment, but it is significant to us. The more people we have doing that, the better we can continue to bring this content to you guys. If you want to gift a membership, like a few people have done again. So definitely, again, shout out to Auburn Dad, Chris Causey, and Ben Bloodworth for the gifted memberships to people tonight. The first month is on them. After that, ticket is on you. Again, the big shout out to Manscaped who sponsored tonight's program. And I don't have a graphic for them, but BetterHelp is also a sponsor of tonight's program. So make sure that you guys hit them up. Hey, you alum, I see you right there gifting the memberships. So thank you so much for going ahead and doing that before we get out of here. Make sure you support the Pod Network. We got 2 of the guys here from 2 of the different ones, the College Loop Up Tempo podcast, and we here at the Auburn Express. Thank you all very much for that. Speaking of which, you can get merch from our merch store, thewarreport.com. Make sure that you tap in with us there and be able to support all the things that we have going on with the War Report Network. Before we get out of here, just going to give an opportunity for Dylan to shout out what's going on over there at the College Loop. Talk to him, Dylan.
Yeah, what's up? So the College Loop, if you have not watched our last episode or last week's episode, we had a great conversation with Caleb Benson last week talking about some Auburn recruits who might be committing very soon. And I'm hearing some good things about Cam Franklin. So hopefully we can talk about him some more throughout the week. But also, well, yesterday, if you missed it, we did a what if Auburn played in the 2004 National Championship. And being the Auburn truther that I am, I think Auburn would have won that game. But go check that episode out as well. And merch. And get the merch.
Dustin, talk to the people. Let them know what's going on over at the Up Tempo podcast.
Yeah, man. Y'all go subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 before kickoff. Just last week, man, we had like over 150 subs, I think. So it's booming. Get over there, man. We've got our memberships jumping right now as well. So you want to be a part of that. Like Mike said, I'm talking about Olympic sports. And look, we're going to hit football hard. I'm a big basketball guy. We're going to hit basketball hard. But been talking to some of the guys on the baseball team, man, and we're going to have some unique content coming. Those guys are fired up that we are now, because we talked about them a lot last year, but didn't have the platform, right? So they're fired up that we're with your guys, that we're going to have the platform to kind of put the light on them that those guys deserve. So like Mike said, we're really going to hit that baseball hard for sure. So get over there and check us out, man. We're doing big things.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. And you guys know what you need to do over here before you get out of here. Share the video. Make sure that you add us so you know you did it. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are the War Report, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TW Report on TikTok. We are signing off, and we will be back at you guys tomorrow morning with the morning drop. We will also make sure that we update you on when we are going to get that fireside dropped off for y'all. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But that's it, man. We are out of here until the next time. And as always, War Eagle. Peace.